This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we're talking with Freddie Wehbe, Make It Happen Studio. Freddie, welcome to Queen Lizzie podcast.
Thank you for inviting me, Miss Lizzie.
My honored pleasure to have you here on the program today.
No, it's my honor to be here with you.
Well, thank you. We are both honored.
There you go.
We have something in common, which
go.
is called history. Okay, history, making history, preservation, and history is who we are. Okay, so as I said, I'm glad to have you. But first of all, I want to do a shout out to Campus USA, which is our title sponsor, and Melvin Law. Melvin Law is our studio sponsor. And also thanks to Greg Bradley with Allstate. So Fred, when did you first hear about Rosewood?
That's a good question. I heard first about Rosewood back in Accra, Ghana. I was a young kid, and we studied African American history in the United States and heard about the massacre and what happened. It was taught in school back then, and that's the first time I heard about it. And then came here, and then I watched the movie in the late 90s when the movie came out, and really saw what, visualized at least what might have happened through the movie.
Right.
And then, I've always read about it. I'm a history buff, and learned about really what happened. It was part of our American history. It happened. It was dark days that it happened, how it happened, why it happened. It's something we can all learn from, and in today's world it even fits more to what Rosewood is and the world we live in the United States. I really, really appreciate what you're doing to keep Rosewood in the news, in the community, the story, the perseverance of what you're trying to do to preserve the history of Rosewood, the house, the different things you have done to remind people that a little town a few miles away from Gainesville, this really happened. This is not a movie of a story. This really happened, and what can we do to keep that going, and what we can do, and the educational piece is what amazes me with your persistence of the educational piece is so great about this.
It is so important that we keep it going, preserve it, never forget. It's what my mom told me, and I bet when you were in Africa, Ghana, years ago, you never thought you would have met me after you saw the movie. You never envisioned meeting real Rosewood people.
Yes, and then, they say it's a small world.
Yes.
It is. It is. I lived a continent away when I first heard about Rosewood, and now I live, 50 miles, 40 miles away?
15 miles.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
About 50.
50.
A little more, but it's
and it's right there.
It's right there.
Yeah. You're like this. My kids and I and my wife, Doreen, went and visited Rosewood 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yep. Took some pictures and tried to get into the house, but we couldn't. There's no trespassing
No
signs.
trespassing. No, you
But,
cannot get into
and,
the
and
house.
really came back even that night and watched a movie together and educated my two boys what really happened, and to remember that forever. And really, history is real.
It is real.
Good or bad, it's real.
Yes, we can't change it.
No, we can't
We
change it.
can't
but-
change it, and we must work together.
Yeah, and what you do to keep the story going, to talk about it, to remind people about Rosewood is absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you. It's a full-time job, but it's one I enjoy because people like you and other supporters that show me that you are real, just like the name of the Real Rosewood Foundation, it makes my life easier. It makes things easier for me to continue.
And you should hopefully continue for a long time, and you will, God willing. And
Yes.
for all the people that support you, thank you. For all the people that work along with you, thank you. And I know you've got some opportunities on this podcast for people to sponsor you and
Yes.
keep it going with Rosewood. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that too.
Okay, in order to sponsor, you may go to our website, which is rosewoodflorida.com. Click on the donate button, and you can choose to support the museum or scholarship. We do give a scholarship, an annual scholarship. We make certain, it is so important to us because we believe in diversity. It is so important to us that we give at least 2 white scholarships each year, and 3 are black or minority. And also, we make certain 2 from Levy County where the Rosewood Massacre happened, and at least 3 from Alachua County.
Right.
Okay, and you all may go while you're on the website clicking on donate. There is a button that says scholarship. The application is currently on the website, so click on that and start now for next year. Thinking about applying for the Rosewood Scholarship. You must live in the state of Florida, and the deadline to apply is April 1. Okay?
And where do people go to your website?
Yes.
And this website is
www.rosewoodflorida.com.
rosewoodflorida.com.
Yes, spell Florida out, Florida, rosewoodflorida.com. And we are encouraging you to become a sustainer, contributor. You can do it once a month, or you can make a big contribution and make it a lifetime.
And tell me, the link to the website is below the post.
The link to the website is below the post, okay? So make sure you spend some time researching and doing what you need to do to donate to the foundation. We need the money. We are going to move that house here on property. And my great-great-great-grandparents probably came from Africa. But anyway, my great-grandfather, Wesley Brown, is from North Carolina, and he came to Orchard, and in 1897 he bought 40 acres. And today we own that property. My dad and my grandparents have always said, don't sell my property because they're not making any more. We still own that property, and this is where we are going to move history. We're going to move the Rosewood history, which is the John Wright House, from Rosewood to Archer, property that my mom and her sister, the Rosewood school teacher, grew up on, and property that I played on. And today I still live on this property. So history is important. It's who we are. We held on to that history and that property. And my dad also bought property and said to us, y'all better not sell my property. The same thing. They are not making any more. Today we own that property. Not bragging. It's history. And Dad said they're not making any more. pay those taxes. Sometimes I want to reach back, I'll reach out to him and say, Dad, you wanted us to save this property, now send me some tax money. But it's for the next generation, okay? And just as we save the property, we're saving the education.
So let's say you achieved your goals and your dream and everything happens. Can you share with me and clarify, because I've heard different things and I'm sure the public would like to know, and correct me if I'm wrong, so there will be a museum in Archer
Yes,
that includes the Wright House,
yes,
little history of Rosewood,
yes,
and it'll all be on this property that your grandfather purchased, right?
exactly,
And you live in that property now.
as we speak,
So
yes.
it's adjacent to your house,
Yes.
and it's 40 acres?
It's really 29 acres.
29
My
acres.
sister's older. Yes,
Okay.
but we do have 29 acres.
Okay.
In the name of the Real Rosewood Foundation, because I was the the oldest of the grandchildren. And before my uncle lived there before he died, he said, I'm going to deed this property to you. And I said, no. Because my uncle, his sister was a school teacher. I said, deed it to Rosewood, because we had other heirs and family members, and I didn't want them to think that I was trying to take charge of the family property. So once he deeded it to Rosewood, all of us, the entire family, legacy, benefit. So yes, we're bringing the Rosewood House to Archer. We're going to more or less resurrect Rosewood, because you know there were shotgun houses there. We want to be able to duplicate those houses, okay, at least 10 of them, and they will be used for meetings, conferences, whatever. And we're also looking at different contractors out there to donate, at least build and donate one house each.
And they should donate. I mean, this is a great cause, and
Yes.
you shouldn't have a problem with that. Another question that needs clarification, and this is me as a fan.
Okay.
In the movie,
Yes.
how true is the movie? Is everything in there correct?
Not everything, but they gave us a free screening here and invited my mother to be the speaker in 1997. My mother was 20 when it happened, still at home, single. So they invited her to be the spokesperson, and they said to her, after the movie played, she said, Mrs. Robinson, they said to her, she was 95 at the time, very alert. They said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the movie? She said, well, I give it a 7. And they said, I'm sorry, she said, I give it a 7, but the two most important things that happened, it let people know that Rosewood really happened, and it let people know that white women lie on black men. She brought the house down. They couldn't believe my 95-year-old mother said it, but it was the truth. And
So that's the true part of the movie.
that's the true part of it. It happened, and they lied. Well, not they, Fannie Taylor lied. And as a result of that, the town of Rosewood was demolished.
So the gentleman that comes with the horse and big guy, was that real?
No.
No. So that's more dramatizing the movie.
Yes, they
Okay.
sensationalized it
Okay.
very, very highly. And your next question?
So to summarize, from a movie perspective, a lot of people go back and watch that movie, and if you're listening or watching, you should play that movie again. It's on Amazon, and it's free, I believe.
Yes, it is.
You know, the big picture really happened, but there's some pieces in the movie that are dramatized to make it a movie.
Exactly.
Would that be a good way of saying it?
That's a good way of saying it. And I admire John Singleton, because, you know, that was a brave act, or brave act of kindness he did. He told it to the best of his ability. He didn't have time to interview all of us, all of the people that were involved, all of the family members, but he did an excellent job making contact with necessary people that knew about the Rosewood massacre.
Excellent.
That's about time for our first half. We are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after a quick Rosewood word.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History. I am Florida and America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, recorded right here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Coach Spurrier's own podcast room. We are here with Freddie Wehbe. Freddie, you have, I think, a couple of questions for me or more questions
Yes,
for me?
Queen Lizzie, another question that always comes up, and this is more to educate me and other people how to really respond. Rosewood is one of many massacres that have happened in our country, unfortunately.
Yes.
I know there's one close to Orlando, Ocoee, I believe.
Yes.
And then the big one that gets the most news is Tulsa.
Yes.
Maybe you can give us a brief minute synopsis on each, what happened, when it happened, where it happened, and how do they compare, all three? Like what's the size of each compared to the other?
Let's start with Tulsa. Tulsa was big, huge, because they're in Tulsa, the section of town that they created or caused the massacre was very populated by black business owners. They were doing extremely well, and I understand that same scenario, white lady was in an elevator with a black man and cried, attack, rape, or assault. And as a result of that, they burned the town down.
And this is in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. When I first heard about Tulsa, I was in New Orleans at a conference, and I met a young lady, sat next to her, and we were talking. I was talking about Rosewood, and I had my books there, and of course she was talking about Tulsa. So she was a descendant of Tulsa, and I was a descendant of Rosewood. We compared notes. As a result of that, she put me in touch with her uncle or cousin. And I made touch with him and decided to fly out just to hear his story. And as we speak, I have a letter in an upcoming book that he wrote me after our meeting. But he was, his grandfather was an attorney at the time. They blew or burned his office down. However, it didn't stop. He said, Mrs. Jenkins, my grandfather opened up an office, law office, outside in a tent and continued to practice his law. So they took a hard hit in Tulsa, but as I said, it was much bigger. And some people want us to believe that Rosewood was a Tulsa. Rosewood does not touch Tulsa. No two-story home, okay? No rich people. It was just a common town where black and white people worked together, got along, and they were working for the same cause. They wanted an education and to raise their families.
Which one happened first?
I'm thinking Tulsa happened in 2017, I'm guessing. I don't remember the date right now. But Ocoee happened in 2021. I attended the anniversary, the centennial. I was on program in Ocoee, and I spoke and compared Ocoee to Rosewood. I was one of the speakers.
Right outside Orlando.
That's right, yes. Outside of Orlando, and July Perry was the target guy. And the reason they targeted July is because he was registering people to vote. And they didn't approve of his interaction with the public. He was an activist. He was an advocate for getting the vote out. And of course, they came in and killed him and some more, and also burned the town down. I don't know what is it about burning, but as a result of what they, and when I say they, the bad guys, the KKK and the insurrectionists, what they perceive as bad, wherein we just wanted to have the right to vote.
For someone new to Rosewood and any of those historic things, where's the best place to learn about that today? If someone is listening right now or watching and they want to teach their kids about what happened, where do you suggest they go to?
I would send them to, I don't have everything on my website, but that would be a good start. rosewoodflorida.com.
rosewoodflorida.com.
Also, you can go to, pull up my name, Lizzie Robinson Jenkins. I'm all over the internet. Read my story. They have attached some other stories to my story. And my story is a little different because there were like 5 foundations. There are now. Each of us has a different story. We're supposed to, because we all went in different directions. And we heard the story from our ancestors or survivors. So they're supposed to be different. But we all end at the same place. Our town was burned down. There were 5 survivors killed, supposedly 2 white. So a total of 7. But I would recommend that you go to my website. Also, in January, we launched an exhibition, an exhibit, whatever it's called. We launched one showcasing Rosewood artifacts and heirlooms. You can read about that on my Facebook also, or on my website, and it's called An Elegy to Rosewood. Lots of information. Very inclusive, because I made certain we included other people, other foundations, okay? So it's more than about the Real Rosewood Foundation. It's about Rosewood and Rosewood history.
And all those other foundations have the same goal.
Yes.
It's all about Rosewood.
It's all about Rosewood and the history, not repeating it, bringing us together, keeping the history alive, and becoming better historians.
And you all do a great job at doing so.
Exactly.
Yeah. How much is the University of Florida involved in Rosewood?
Not very much. Not very much.
How do should that change, and how do we change that? Why should they be involved?
Because it happened here in Alachua County. My aunt was a teacher at Rosewood. I'm sorry, my aunt was a teacher. My aunt taught at the University of Florida, the first Black teacher at the University of Florida in 1938, 39-ish. I have the evidence that she taught the white football players how to read in the basement, dressed as a maid. On the document I have, it gives her name She changed her name so many times after the massacre because she was running. But in this little catalog, her name is Huldah Carroll, and his name is Aaron Carroll. However, the address that's in this document is the same address that is on many letters that she received. So it is her. And in this document, it says employment UF. I asked my mom about it. My mom said, oh, yes, she taught.
So your aunt taught in Rosewood
Yes,
and taught at the University of Florida.
yes.
Wow.
And also, after Rosewood, she was the principal in Gulf Hammock in 1942-ish. She left her husband, came back to live with us. And one morning she asked my father if she could borrow his car. He said, of course. She went to Brunson, found the Sheriff Bob Walker, said to him, and my mother said he almost passed out when he saw her. He wasn't expecting to see her. And when he saw her, he said to her very harshly, Gussie, what are you doing here? And she said, well, I need a job. I don't have any money. I'm broke. And there is a principal's position in Gulf Hammock. You are the only person living who knows that I was a teacher and who can give me a reference. He said, get out of here. She got in the car and left. He said, I'll be in touch in a few days. Sure enough, in a few days, he brought to her here in Archer at her father's house an emergency certificate, an emergency principal certificate. Today, I have that certificate in my documents, and it is a carbon copy. So she really did a lot. She suffered a lot. She never was able to heal, and she died. I'm not going to say that, but I believe straight died. But anyway, she did not have a happy life. No therapy back then for her. Okay, and when she died, part of my mom died. And my mom said, you will, to me, keep her history alive. And I asked my mom, and I told her, I don't want to do it. It's too painful. It's a lot of work. Mom said, well, if I was younger, I would do it. I wanted to say to her, do it. I was angry because I didn't want to, because I knew it would be a lot of work. But for my mother, I did it. And I tell people, I live today to tell the story of Rosewood, to make sure it doesn't go untold, unnoticed. And I'm doing all of this for my mother.
That's great. I have two more questions, if time allows.
Okay.
I attended a book signing of yourself
Yes.
a couple weeks ago. Can you tell everyone where they can get the book and what it's about and what the name of the book is?
The name of the book is Lizzie's Rosewood Journey. It's about my childhood, growing up on a farm, very poor, walked to school. The first year, no shoes, okay, and later on we were able to get shoes, walked 6 miles round trip to school. You can find the book on Amazon.com, Lizzie's Rosewood Journey. I'm sorry, Lizzie's Rosewood Race. And the cost is $22. I like the book because when I was growing up, there was no black children in any book that I have ever read. And what was your second question?
Where can you buy the book?
Oh, yes, Amazon.com. Plus,
And the name of the book again?
Lizzie Rosewood Race. Lizzie's Rosewood Race. And 62 pages, but it's packed. To me, it's packed. It says a lot. It talks about segregation. It talked about, it helped me to heal because when I taught in 1971 in an all-white school, they had just integrated, and I did not have a homeroom mother leading up to Christmas. And I was teaching 5th graders, and one of the students came up to me knowing that we were going to have a Christmas party, she said, Mrs. Robinson, I was Robinson, would you like for my mom to be your homeroom teacher? I mean, your homeroom mother? I said, of course. She brought Mom in the next day, and Mrs., can't remember her name, Mrs. Godfrey said to me, Karen tells me that you want me to be your homeroom mother. I said, yes. She said, okay. She became my homeroom mother. Karen Godfrey Clark, the former superintendent, is that little young lady who helped me, during integration. She was awesome. And all of the other kids attached themselves to me after she paved the way that it's okay to touch Mrs. Jenkins. Okay.
I'm going to squeeze in one last question.
Okay.
I know we're running out of time. You've celebrated your 50th birthday, I believe, over 30 times. I don't know what that real number is, but I've always wanted to ask you this. I'm going to do it in public because that's who I am.
Okay.
What's the secret to stay healthy? You're a very healthy human being.
Really?
And at the age you are, what you do is absolutely amazing.
Oh, really?
What's the secret? What do you do?
For one thing,
different
I
than most
don't
of us?
take medicine.
Okay.
Okay. When I do, it's usually old remedies that my mom, gave us many years ago. And I don't want to call the name of some of the meds, but we were talking about this a couple of days ago. It's so funny. I try to eat right, and not try. I do.
What does eat right mean?
Eat right means I eat small portions. I love to eat. I eat small portion. I don't eat a lot of fried food, but I love it. I like spicy food, and I think that may have a lot to do with it. When we grew up, everything we ate was spicy. And the reason my mom gave us so many spices of spice food, because she said it was a medication for us. It was like medicine. Okay?
So eat small portions,
Uh-huh.
eat spicy food,
Spicy.
try to stay away from fried food.
Yes.
Right?
Lots
So
of fruit.
Lots of fruits. What else?
Lots of water.
Lots
I
of
drink.
water.
I love Pepsis, but I drink water all
Okay.
the time. And I used to, at one time I was a jogger. I don't jog anymore. I used to walk from Archer to Gainesville one time. And I was a long distance walker. I don't do that anymore because I can't. I probably can, but those are some of the things that help me.
So you've just given us the secret of longevity.
Yes.
Exercise, walk, eat healthy, drink a lot of water.
A lot of water.
Don't eat fried foods. Wow.
And my water is from the well at our house. I don't buy this store-bought water. They say it's from the springs. I don't know.
Gotcha. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, thank you, Freddie, very much. And Freddie is on my board. Goodbye.
Goodbye.